Greetings from the Book Whisper. Every story is a journey into a world of love, passion, deception, and self-discovery. Close your eyes, let the sounds carry you away, and may this story touch your heart. Fragments of Detroit. The air in Detroit hung thick and humid, a palpable weight that mirrored the unspoken tensions within the sprawling brick mansion on the outskirts of the city. Emma traced the condensation on her wine glass, the chill seeping into her fingertips, a familiar sensation. Across the polished mahogany table, Amelia's laughter, bright and brittle, cut through the silence. It was a sound Emma had once loved, a melody that now felt like a discordant note in the symphony of her fractured life. Their marriage, once a vibrant tapestry woven with threads of fierce love and an almost reckless passion, had frayed at the edges, unraveling into a complex knot of suspicion and quiet resentment. The spark, the wildfire that had consumed them in their youth, had dwindled to embers, leaving behind only the lingering scent of smoke and the bitter taste of regret. The cause of their slow descent was a phantom, a shadow that lurked in the periphery of their conversations. Oliver, not a man, but a concept, a whispered temptation that had slithered its way into Amelia's life. Emma knew, with a certainty that clawed at her throat, that Amelia had strayed. The stolen glances, the hushed phone calls, the way Amelia's eyes would flit away whenever Emma's gaze lingered too long, it all painted a damning picture. Yet, direct confrontation remained an insurmountable hurdle, a chasm too wide to cross. The house, a testament to their shared ambitions and fleeting happiness, now felt like a gilded cage. Every opulent furnishing, every framed photograph of their younger selves, served as a stark reminder of what they had lost. Emma's career as a successful architect had demanded her time and attention, a welcome distraction from the growing unease at home, but even the most intricate blueprints couldn't construct a bridge over the widening divide between her and Amelia. One evening, a clandestine meeting at a dimly lit jazz club on Woodward Avenue solidified Emma's fears. She hadn't gone to spy, not intentionally. A forgotten file, a work emergency that required a quick dash across town. She'd seen them. Amelia, her head tilted in conversation, her hand resting on Oliver's arm, a tenderness in her posture that Emma hadn't witnessed in years. Oliver, a man Emma vaguely recalled from a brief, awkward encounter at a gallery opening, smooth, charming, with eyes that held a predatory gleam. The image was seared into Emma's mind, a brand of betrayal. The immediate aftermath was a blur of suppressed rage and a gnawing sense of humiliation. Emma retreated further into herself, her days a monotonous cycle of work and solitary evenings. The passion that had once defined their relationship now felt like a cruel joke. She longed for the days when their touch ignited sparks, when their whispered confessions held the weight of eternity. Now, every touch felt loaded, every word a potential landmine. The intrigue began subtly. Anonymous emails, laced with venom and veiled threats, started appearing in Emma's inbox. They spoke of Amelia's indiscretions, of Oliver's manipulations, painting a picture of Amelia as a victim and Emma as the oblivious fool. Emma initially dismissed them as the ramblings of a disturbed individual, but the specificity of the details, the intimate knowledge of her own life, began to sow seeds of doubt. Was Oliver playing a deeper game? Was Amelia aware of these machinations, or was she, too, being manipulated? The lines blurred, and the once clear betrayal became a tangled web of deceit. The summer heat intensified, mirroring the suffocating atmosphere in their home. Amelia, sensing Emma's withdrawal, became more distant, her movements becoming more guarded. The silences between them stretched, filled with unasked questions and unspoken accusations. Emma, however, was no longer passively accepting her fate. The betrayal had ignited a different kind of fire within her, a cold, calculating resolve. She began to observe, to listen, to piece together the fragments of Amelia's fragmented life. The architect in her, trained to deconstruct complex structures, was now applying her skills to the most intricate building of all, her failing marriage. She noticed the new perfume Amelia wore, a scent Emma didn't recognize. She saw the expensive, unexplained gifts Amelia received, a delicate silver bracelet, a silk scarf in a shade Emma had never seen her wear. The carefully constructed facade of their life was beginning to crumble, revealing the rot beneath. Emma started to feel a profound sense of disappointment, not just in Amelia, but in herself for allowing things to reach this point. The love she still felt, buried deep beneath layers of hurt, was struggling to survive. The emails continued, each one more aggressive than the last. They threatened exposure, ruin, a complete dismantling of Emma's carefully curated world. But instead of succumbing to fear, Emma found a strange sense of clarity. These threats, she realized, were a distraction, a smokescreen designed to keep her off balance. The real truth, she suspected, lay closer to home, within the gilded walls of their mansion. One rainy Tuesday, while Amelia was out for a late afternoon yoga session, Emma decided to investigate. She moved with the quiet precision of a hunter, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She wasn't looking for proof of infidelity, not anymore. She was looking for answers to a different set of questions, questions that had begun to form in the shadowy corners of her mind. She searched Amelia's study, a room Amelia rarely allowed anyone into. Behind a loose panel in the bookshelf, Emma found it, a locked journal, bound in worn leather. Her fingers, steady despite the tremor in her soul, found a small, almost invisible key tucked away in the spine of a seemingly forgotten art book. The click of the lock echoed in the silent room, a sound that promised revelation. The journal entries were a torrent of emotions, a confession spilled onto paper. Amelia's words were raw, desperate, and filled with a pain Emma hadn't fully grasped. But it wasn't Oliver's name that appeared most frequently, it was another, Charlotte. The entries spoke of a clandestine affair, a desperate attempt to escape the suffocating expectations of their marriage, to find a passion and understanding that Emma, in her all-consuming professional life, had seemingly neglected. The betrayal wasn't just about Oliver, it was a betrayal of a different kind, a deep, personal one that cut Emma to the core. The initial shock gave way to a chilling realization. The anonymous emails, the attempts to sow discord between Emma and Amelia, they weren't coming from Oliver, they were coming from Charlotte, the jealous lover, threatened by the potential return of Emma into Amelia's life, or perhaps by Amelia's own wavering commitment. The intrigue was far more complex, far more dangerous, than Emma had ever imagined. She realized with a sickening lurch that the phantom of her marriage wasn't a simple affair, but a deliberate, calculated scheme to manipulate and control. The passion she had once craved now felt like a dangerous, unpredictable force, capable of inflicting unimaginable pain. Emma closed the journal, the weight of its contents pressing down on her. The love she felt for Amelia was now a fractured mosaic, pieces scattered and sharp. The disappointment was a dull ache, a constant companion. But amidst the wreckage, a new emotion began to bloom, a cold, unyielding fury. The desire for revenge, for justice, for reckoning, took root. The architect had deconstructed her marriage, and now she would rebuild it, brick by calculated brick, on a foundation of truth and undeniable consequence. She knew what she had to do. The next step wouldn't be about saving her marriage, but about dismantling the lies that had been so meticulously constructed. The following weeks were a masterclass in controlled chaos. Emma, armed with the journal and a newfound resolve, began to subtly weave her own narrative. She initiated conversations with Amelia, not about Oliver, but about the growing distance between them, about the unfulfilled promises, about the stifled passion. She spoke with a quiet intensity, her words laced with a subtle poison that mirrored the venom of the anonymous emails. She hinted at knowing more than she let on, at piecing together a disturbing puzzle. Amelia, caught off guard by Emma's directness and her uncanny intuition, began to unravel. The carefully guarded secrets started to slip, a few words here, a hesitant admission there. The intrigue now shifted. Emma wasn't the target of the intrigue anymore, she was its conductor. She subtly steered Amelia's confessions, leading her down a path that revealed the extent of her deceit, not just with Oliver, but with Charlotte. Emma discovered that Charlotte, a charismatic artist Emma had briefly met at a charity gala, had been meticulously cultivating Amelia's discontent, fanning the flames of her dissatisfaction, and orchestrating the affair as a means of control. Charlotte thrived on chaos, on the drama of forbidden love, and Amelia, in her vulnerability, had become her willing pawn. The passion that had once bound Amelia to Emma had been twisted and weaponized by Charlotte, used to isolate Amelia and make her dependent. The disappointment Emma felt was now compounded by a bitter understanding of Amelia's weakness, her susceptibility to manipulation. But Emma's love, though wounded, wasn't entirely extinguished. It had transformed into a fierce protectiveness, a desire to save Amelia from the destructive forces that were consuming her. One evening, During a tense dinner, Emma presented Amelia with a choice. "I know about Oliver," Emma stated, her voice unnervingly calm. Amelia flinched, her face paling. "But that's not the whole story, is it? The emails, the whispers, they were never about Oliver, were they, Amelia? They were about control, about keeping you exactly where she wanted you." Emma watched as the last vestiges of Amelia's defiance crumbled. Amelia's confession, when it came, was a torrent of tearful admissions about Charlotte's manipulation, her possessiveness, and the suffocating hold she had over Amelia. The confrontation with Charlotte was staged. Emma, with Amelia by her side, arranged to meet Charlotte at a trendy cafe in downtown Detroit. Emma had alerted Detective James, a trusted acquaintance from her architectural firm's legal department, who agreed to discreetly observe from a nearby table. Emma didn't intend to press charges, not yet. Her goal was to expose Charlotte's machinations, to shatter her carefully constructed illusion of power. When Charlotte arrived, radiating an aura of entitled confidence, Emma greeted her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Charlotte," Emma began, her voice carrying clearly through the hushed cafe, "Amelia and I have had a lot of time to talk. We've realized that perhaps we've been a little naive about how easily people can be influenced." She paused, letting the implication hang in the air, especially when certain individuals are so adept at creating drama. Charlotte's eyes narrowed, her carefully crafted composure beginning to fray. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think you do," Amelia interjected, her voice gaining a newfound strength. "You played us, you twisted our love, our insecurities, into something ugly. You orchestrated everything, didn't you? The emails, the rumors, all to keep me dependent on you." The unraveling was immediate. Charlotte, cornered and exposed, lashed out verbally, her venomous words confirming every accusation. The subtle intrigue had dissolved into open warfare, with Emma standing firm at its epicenter. The passion that had once defined their relationship had been a catalyst for destruction, but now, the embers were being fanned into a different kind of fire, the fire of truth and liberation. The final act of their complex drama unfolded not in anger, but in a quiet, almost somber understanding. Amelia, stripped bare of her deceptions, looked at Emma with a raw vulnerability that pierced through Emma's carefully constructed armor of resolve. The love, though deeply scarred, hadn't vanished. It was there, a fragile seedling pushing through cracked concrete. "I'm so sorry, Emma," Amelia whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I was so lost, so weak." Emma didn't offer immediate forgiveness. The betrayal had been too profound, the pain too acute. But she saw the genuine remorse in Amelia's eyes, the desperate plea for a second chance. The disappointment was still a heavy burden, but it was now mingled with a weary empathy. She understood, in a way she hadn't before, the pressures Amelia had felt, the desperate search for an escape that had led her down such a destructive path. The resolution wasn't a grand reconciliation, nor was it a definitive end. It was a pause, a period of rebuilding on a foundation of hard-won honesty. Emma didn't have all the answers. The love, the passion, the intertwined lives they had built together, they were irrevocably altered. The infidelity had left a permanent scar, a reminder of the fragility of trust. But the intrigue, the elaborate web of deceit spun by Charlotte, had ultimately served a purpose. It had forced them to confront the ugly truths, to peel back the layers of pretense and confront the core of their relationship. The unexpected twist came not from an external source, but from within Amelia herself. As they sat in the quiet aftermath, the weight of Charlotte's exposure settling between them, Amelia spoke again, her voice barely audible. "It wasn't just about escaping you, Emma, it was about him, Oliver." Emma's breath hitched. She had focused so intently on Charlotte and Amelia's relationship that Oliver had faded into the background, a mere pawn in Charlotte's game. "Charlotte used Oliver," Amelia continued, her gaze fixed on the patterned rug. "She promised me he would leave you, that he loved me, that she would make it happen. She made me believe that I could have both, that you wouldn't find out, that he would be my secret, and you would never know. It was all her plan. I allowed myself to believe it." The realization struck Emma with the force of a physical blow. Oliver, the charming, persuasive Oliver, who had seemingly been a mere temptation, was actually the architect of Amelia's deepest desires, the one who had promised her an escape Emma could never provide. Charlotte had masterfully exploited this existing attraction, weaving it into her own manipulative narrative. The passion Emma had longed for from Amelia was, in fact, a passion Amelia believed she could find with Oliver, a belief Charlotte had meticulously cultivated. The betrayal wasn't simply Amelia seeking solace with another man, it was a calculated deception, fueled by a deeper, more complex desire that Emma had never truly understood. The final, logical conclusion was not a fairy tale ending, but a pragmatic one. Emma, the architect, could not rebuild a structure on a foundation of such profound and multifaceted betrayal. The love was too fractured, the passion too tainted by deceit. The disappointment was immense, a gaping wound that wouldn't easily heal. Amelia, humbled and exposed, had finally faced the consequences of her choices, the destructive power of her desires. As the Detroit skyline, a jagged silhouette against the bruised twilight, began to twinkle with nascent stars, Emma knew their path lay separate. The passion that had once burned so brightly between them had been consumed by the fires of infidelity, intrigue, and ultimately, by a devastatingly logical truth. Their story, like the city itself, was a testament to resilience, to the harsh beauty of what remains after the storm, and to the often unexpected paths that love and desire can carve through the landscape of human lives. The complex tapestry of their relationship, woven with threads of love, betrayal, and deception, had finally unraveled, leaving behind a stark, and undeniably logical, emptiness. Dear listeners of the Book Whisper, we hope you've been left with a lasting impression. We're constantly searching for new stories to share with you. Don't miss what's next. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Give us a like if you'd love more audiobooks like this. Until our next meeting on the pages of our tales.